What if the world you are living in is not as fixed as it feels? What if reality itself is waiting for you to look at it? And what if the life you experience every single day is not happening to you, but is quietly responding to where you place your attention? There is a question once asked by Albert Einstein. If nobody is looking at the moon, is it still there? At first, it sounds philosophical, almost poetic, but hidden inside that question is one of the most unsettling discoveries of modern science. Because in the quantum world, things do not fully exist until they are observed. Particles behave like waves, spread out, undefined, everywhere at once, until something or someone looks at them. And in that moment, everything changes. The wave collapses, possibility becomes reality. Now pause for a second. If observation can change reality at the smallest level of existence, what happens when the observer is you? Not in a laboratory. Not in an experiment, but in your everyday life. Your thoughts, your focus, your expectations, your reactions. What if these are not passive experiences, but active forces shaping what becomes real? Today, you're not just going to hear an idea, you're going to see your life differently, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover something most people never realize. You are not just living your life, you are observing it into existence. And once you understand how that works, you can begin to change it. From this moment forward, think of your life differently, not as a fixed story, but as a living experiment, a quantum experiment, and you are the observer. Step 1. The collapse of focus. Where you look becomes real. Imagine standing in a dark room filled with thousands of objects. You can't see anything clearly. Everything exists only as possibility. Now imagine holding a flashlight. Wherever you point that light, that part of the room becomes visible. Defined. Real. Everything else fades into the background. Your attention works exactly like that flashlight. In quantum physics, before observation, a particle exists in a state called superposition. It is everywhere and nowhere at the same time, but the moment it is observed, it collapses into one single state. One outcome. One reality. Now bring that idea into your life. At any given moment, your life contains thousands of possible interpretations. Opportunity or failure, growth or limitation, meaning or chaos, possibility or fear. But here's the part most people never realize: you don't experience all possibilities. You experience the one you focus on. If your attention constantly scans for problems, you collapse reality into problems. If your mind searches for what's missing, you collapse reality into lack. If you focus on what could go wrong, your world begins to organize itself around that expectation. Not because reality is against you, but because your observation is selecting a version of it. This is not about positive thinking. This is about perceptual selection. Your brain is constantly filtering reality. Every second, it deletes millions of details and only shows you what aligns with your focus. So when you believe your life is just the way it is, you're often looking at a version of reality being repeatedly collapsing. Practical shift 3 times a day. Pause and ask yourself, what am I focusing on right now? What version of reality am I reinforcing? Because the moment you become aware of your focus, you step out of autopilot. And when that happens, you stop collapsing reality unconsciously. But focus alone is not the whole story, because observation is not neutral. It is shaped by something deeper. Something even more powerful than attention. Step 2. The expectation filter. You don't see reality, you confirm it. Have you ever noticed this? When you expect something to go wrong, it often does. Not always in obvious ways, but enough to feel real. Now the question is that coincidence? Or is something else happening? Your mind is not just observing reality. It is predicting it, and then proving itself right. In psychology, this is known as confirmation bias, but in the context of observation, it becomes something much deeper. Your expectations act like a lens, and that lens determines what you see. Imagine 2 people walking into the same room. One believes, people don't respect me. The other believes, people are generally kind. They are in the same place, same people, same environment, but they do not experience the same reality, because each one is filtering what they observe. The first person notices. The one person who ignores them, the slight tone shift in a conversation, the moment of hesitation, and their mind says, "See, I knew it." The second person notices. The smile from a stranger, the friendly tone, the openness in conversation, and their mind says, "See, I knew it." Same environment, different observer. Different reality. Now connect this to the observer effect. If observation shapes outcome, and expectation shapes observation, then your expectations are quietly influencing what becomes real for you. The hidden trap: most people don't question their expectations. They inherit them. From past experiences. From fear. From repetition. And then they unknowingly project them onto the future. So instead of seeing new possibilities, they keep collapsing the same reality again and again and again. Practical shift before entering any situation. Pause for 10 seconds. Ask yourself, what am I expecting right now? And then gently shift it, not into something unrealistic, but into something open, something like, this could go better than I think. There may be something here I'm not seeing yet. I'll stay open and observe. Because the moment you change expectation, you change the lens, and when the lens changes, so does the reality you perceive. Now we go deeper, because focus shapes what you see. Expectation shapes how you see. But there is one more layer that determines how strongly reality responds to you. And that layer is something most people underestimate, yet feel every single day. Step 3. Emotional resonance. It's not just what you see, it's what you feel while seeing it. Imagine dropping a single drop of water into a still lake. Ripples begin to spread outward. Expanding. Touching everything. Now imagine your emotional state works the same way. Every time you enter a situation, you don't just bring your thoughts. You bring your state, your internal frequency. Your emotional tone. And that tone influences how others respond to you. How situations unfold, how energy moves around you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt tension? No one said anything, nothing obvious happened, but you felt it. That's resonance. Now reverse it. Have you ever met someone calm and suddenly felt calmer yourself? That's also resonance. Your emotional state is not isolated. It interacts. It spreads. It shapes experience. So when you observe reality with anxiety, gives you amplify uncertainty. Fear gives you amplify threat. Confidence gives you amplify possibility. Calm gives you stabilize chaos. This doesn't mean emotions control the universe, but they absolutely influence your interaction with it. And that interaction shapes your lived reality. Practical shift before entering any important moment. Pause. Take a breath and ask, what state am I bringing into this? Because you are not just entering situations, you are influencing them. At this point, something should feel different, because you're starting to see it. Reality is not just something you move through. It's something that responds. Subtly. Quietly. But constantly. But there is still something missing, because even with focus, even with expectation, even with emotional awareness, most people still remain trapped in the same patterns. Why? Because they don't know how to step out of the experience and become the observer itself. And that changes everything. So far, you've seen something powerful. Your focus shapes what becomes real. Your expectations filter what you perceive. Your emotional state influences how reality responds. And yet, most people still feel stuck, repeating the same reactions, living inside the same patterns, experiencing the same cycles, again and again. Why? Because they are not observing their reality. They are inside it. They are not the observer. They are the reaction. And that changes everything. Step 4. Silent observation. The moment you stop reacting, reality starts changing. There is a difference between experiencing something and observing it. Most people never notice the difference, because it happens in a fraction of a second. A situation appears, A thought rises. An emotion follows, and instantly they react. No space. No awareness. No observation. But here's the turning point. The moment you create space between you and the experience, you stop being controlled by it. Think about a storm. If you are inside the storm, everything feels chaotic. Overwhelming. Unpredictable. But if you step outside and observe it from a distance, the storm is still there, but it no longer controls you. This is what silent observation does. It doesn't remove the experience. It changes your relationship to it. The hidden mechanism: when you react automatically, you reinforce patterns. Neural pathways fire the same way. Emotional loops repeat. Behavior becomes predictable. But when you observe instead of react, something extraordinary happens. The pattern is interrupted. The emotional charge weakens. The reaction loses momentum, and suddenly, you have a choice. Why this changes reality? Remember the observer effect. Observation changes outcome. Now apply that internally. When you observe your thoughts, instead of becoming them, you stop feeding them. And what is not fed begins to fade. A fear observed calmly weakens. A thought seen clearly dissolves. A reaction interrupted loses power. This is not suppression. This is awareness. Practical shift. The 3-second gap. Next time something triggers you, pause, just for 3 seconds, and internally say, I am observing this, not, I am angry, but, I notice anger is arising. That small shift changes everything, because now, you are not the emotion, you are the one seeing it. And the moment you become the observer, you step into control. But this raises a deeper question. If you can observe your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, then who is the one observing? Step 5. The field of possibilities are not the experience. You are the one choosing it at the quantum level. Reality is not fixed. It is a field of possibilities. Multiple outcomes exist until one is selected. Now think about your life the same way. At any moment, you can react, or observe. You can resist, or accept. You can repeat, or change. Each of these is a possible reality. But here's the critical insight. You don't experience all possibilities. You experience the one you align with. Most people believe they are stuck in their circumstances, but in many cases, they are stuck in their default pattern of selection. Same trigger gives same reaction gives same outcome gives same belief, and the cycle continues. But the moment you observe, you interrupt the loop. And in that interruption, a new possibility appears. The quantum parallel in superposition. All outcomes exist at once, but observation collapses one. Your awareness works the same way. When you become conscious, you stop defaulting. You start choosing. Not always perfectly, not instantly, but gradually, intentionally. Practical shift. Micro choice. Start small. In moments that don't feel overwhelming, choose patience instead of irritation. Choose curiosity instead of judgment. Choose silence instead of reaction. These are not just behaviors. They are selections of reality. And over time, those small selections accumulate. Until one day, your life feels different. Not because everything changed, but because you did. At this point, something should be clear. You are not just moving through reality. You are interacting with it, shaping it, influencing it. But there is still one final shift. One that brings everything together. Because understanding is not enough. Observation is not enough. Even awareness is not enough. Unless it becomes a way of living. And that is where everything transforms. At this point, you understand something most people never stop to question. Your focus shapes what becomes visible. Your expectations filter what becomes meaningful. Your emotions influence how reality responds. And your awareness determines whether you are reacting or observing. But understanding something is very different from living it, because knowledge can sit quietly in the mind, while your life continues exactly the same. So the real question is not, do you understand the observer effect? The real question is, will you start living as the observer? Because everything changes only when awareness becomes a habit. Integration, turning awareness into a way of life. the shift that rewrites your reality. People think change happens in big moments, a major decision, a life event, a sudden realization, but real transformation happens in small, almost invisible shifts, moments that seem too simple to matter, like noticing a thought and not following it. Like feeling an emotion and not becoming it. Like entering a situation and choosing how to observe it. These moments are quiet. Subtle. But they are powerful, because every time you choose awareness, you are rewriting your internal patterns, and those patterns shape your external reality. Rewiring the observer. Your brain is designed to automate behavior. To repeat what is familiar. To conserve energy. So at first, observation feels unnatural. Slower. Even uncomfortable. But with repetition, something changes. The pause becomes easier. The awareness becomes faster. The reaction becomes optional, and eventually, you stop needing to remind yourself. You don't try to observe. You simply are the observer. The hidden power. When you live this way, life begins to feel different, not because reality suddenly obeys you, but because you are no longer trapped in automatic reactions. You are no longer controlled by every thought. You are no longer pulled by every emotion, and that creates something rare. Inner stability. In an unstable world, reality was never fixed. Here's the truth most people spend their entire lives missing. Reality is not as solid as it appears. Not in the quantum world. And not in your personal experience. What you call your life is a continuous interaction between what is happening, how you observe it. Change the observation, and the experience changes. The same event can feel like a failure, or a lesson, a rejection, or a redirection, a problem, or a possibility. And this is where your power lives. Not in controlling everything outside of you, but in choosing how you engage with it. Because when that changes, everything feels different. Most people live as if life is happening to them. They react, they resist, they repeat, and over time, they start to believe they have no control. But that belief comes from one simple mistake. They forgot they are the observer. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past patterns. You are the awareness behind all of them. And awareness is where change begins. From this moment forward, pause more often. Observe more deeply. React less automatically. Not to control life, but to understand it. Because the moment you truly see what is happening, you begin to change your relationship with it. And when that relationship changes, your experience of reality changes with it. You are never just living your life. You are always observing it into existence. If this made you pause, even for a moment, write in the comments, "I am the observer," and notice how that simple awareness begins to follow you, even after this video ends.